That's the type of light that will clear this room. Good morning, y'all. Welcome to Faith and Fandom Feedback Friday. Popping in late-ish. Um, I actually woke up on time, but I don't know about y'all. Do you ever do the thing where you wake up and you're just in bed trying to figure out your day and you don't really move as fast as you want to? Plus, I had a really late day yesterday and I didn't get to. I know it may not look like it, but I actually do put effort into putting news together and like making notes and everything to have these conversations with you. So I had a late day and I didn't get to put my notes together the way I wanted. So that being said, we're here. Let's do it. Let's finish this month off strong. I went really long last week and I don't want to do that. Um, so just for the sake of y'all's day and my day. But thanks for taking time to listen, to watch. If you're listening to this, you can watch this over on Facebook and YouTube. If you're watching this, you can listen to this on our podcast channel over at Faith and Fandom on Facebook. Let's do it. Let's hit off some news. First off, music news in some aspects. Let's talk music some. Today, you can pick up David Crowder's new album, Exile. You can also pick up John Foreman's new album, In Bloom or Bloom. So you can get your hillbilly worship rock and you can get your hipster old Christian rock that's turned into folk music. I bought both. Good morning, Alicia Glenn. Um, I've already purchased both albums. And Tristan Birch. Tristan, I'm gonna tell you this, you beat me to a news story. So good job. Um, I was like getting my notes together and I was like, look at Tristan already posting stuff that I was gonna post. Okay. Um, but you can pick up John Foreman and uh David Crowder today. Both albums are dropped. Um, there's some other music news. We'll get to that later. Um, in entertainment and movie news, Knives Out 3 has officially titled Wake Up Dead Men. Wake Up Dead Man. Um, and so if you're a fan of Knives Out Mysteries, Wake Up Dead Man is coming as a follow-up. And I don't remember if I mentioned this last week, but the reported storyline that is being pitched of people that have taken the plot summary for Venom 3 because there's screen testing and things like that where they say how would you feel of this storyline. While it hasn't been officially announced that this is where it's going, it is being reported online that one of the script testers or people that read the plot synopsis for Venom 3 is that uh with the hive mind, like the unified mind of um the symbiote picks up the knowledge from the end of No Way Home that Peter Parker is Spider-Man and that one day Venom or Peter Parker will defeat Venom, will defeat the symbiote. And so the evil symbiotes are trying to kill Spider-Man. But in Tom Hardy's world, uh, Spider-Man is a 10-year-old boy. Peter Parker is just 10 years old. And so at that point in time, Venom becomes, wait for it, the lethal protector. So razzle dazzle. That's what's being pushed as what is the plot synopsis will be. Juno Temple, who plays Keely Jones and Ted Lasso, is also uh, pr proposed to be Shriek, who will also be Tom Hardy's love interest in this. So I don't know how I feel about um watching Bane be makey outy with Keely Jones, but whatever works. There's a Dexter spinoff series that is coming called Original Sin. Now, I am all for spinoffs, reboots, and things done well and in good taste. But the reality is this. The storyline that they're telling is the story of Dexter and his father and Deb when Dexter is just becoming a young person who can't handle his murderous urges. Um, I feel like that was told pretty darn well in the TV series. And but after the sequel series to Dexter, I guess did okay enough. We're looking at a spinoff series, so that is coming. Jeffrey Wright has joined the Last of Us season two, reprising his role as Isaac, who he played in the games. So he is continuing the long line of actors that were both in the game and in the TV series. In wrestling news, MJF makes a return to AEW and yeah, there he disappeared for a minute. People were speculating WWE or wherever else, but he made his debut back to AEW. In fact, his first disappearance from his obligations and role was actually while me and Todd Turner and Ashley uh, Cox were at Lexington Comic Con because he was supposed to be there, and that started the bit of his disappearance and contract negotiations and things. The Cannes Film Festival is under fire. Surprise, surprise. Over some stuff that happened, specifically revolving primarily around a security guard. Um, One security guard who was overly aggressive, who was uh pushy, touchy, and basically raining fecal matter down on everybody's parade. Um, the uh the security guard was called racial and racist and profiling by Kelly Rowland, who was treated aggressively. And she made it to be that it was basically just racially motivated. But it turns out this lady just hates everybody. Um, uh, a, an actress named Maisie Tavares wanted to rep her savior well. So she wore a lovely white gown, which had a 20-foot, I believe, train that followed the gown that depicted a very large image of Jesus Christ. And so she marched up the stairs of the Cannes Film Festival and had this giant banner of Jesus following her. And the security guard kept grabbing her dress, crumpling it up, and yeeting it, and which causes problems there. There's other people that have had problems with her too, and she's being sued by one actress in particular for $100,000. We'll cover that in a little bit too, but yeah, that's it's been an adventure with this lady. And there's already mashups of her on like TikTok and things, putting the security guard into wrestling matches and things like that. So, um, yeah, it got kind of weird there. Um, James Gunn did make an announcement this week that he does have Deathstroke plans for the DCU. Um, but the reality is he's running the DCU. He should have plans for everybody. Ambush Bug should already have a 6-year plan. I don't care. James Gunn needs to have plans for everybody. Um, Today is May 31st as I'm recording this, and today is the last day of Becky Lynch's contract with the WWE. And unless something happens today, her contract is expired, and her and her husband Seth Rollins are looking forward to taking some time off, presumably, after a long bout of being away from their family. Seth spent some time away filming Captain America 4, which then he apparently was cut from, which I I get changing stuff, but man, I still wanted, you know, I was more I knew about Captain America 4 before I was watching wrestling again. Um, but I am really excited about the idea of Seth Rollins being a villain in a Captain America movie, even if it's a scumbag like little organization like Hydra or, as it was the Serpent Society. But she could go somewhere else. She could do other things. She's very talented, but the reality is this is the kind of an end of an era with that. Um, in super nerd news, like next level nerd, get excited for news. Um, we are finally getting a modern day live action depiction of Tom Bombadil. If you know who that is without me explaining it, you're a nerd. Um, but that's okay. I am too. Um, but Tom Bombadil is the character in the Lord of the Rings storyline who has notoriously been left out of every adaptation so far because he's a hard character to translate. He's also a hard character to fit concisely into a movie storyline. But Tom Bombadil is a big old man in a blue coat with a beard, uh, and yellow boots. But Tom Bombadil in the Lord of the Rings franchise effectively represents the presence of God, um, represents the Holy Spirit. He's one of these creatures that was there from the beginning. Tom Bombadil is a character who is not affected by the ring, and the ring does not work on deceiving him. He can put the ring on, and he is not tempted, turned evil, anything like that, and he can see anybody actually wearing the ring. Many times he should have been in the Lord of the Rings films in terms of storylines. Like he's the one who rescues the hobbits initially. He's the one who gives the hobbits their swords instead of Aragorn. And but Tom Bombadil is officially going to be making his big old debut in Rings of Power season 2. Now, I enjoyed Rings of Power season 1, but I didn't like, oh man, I can't wait. It wasn't like a fire to watch it. I enjoyed it when I did watch it, and I thought it was well done. You sold me with Tom Bombadil because now I just want to see what you do with Tom Bombadil. Um, if you really want a good breakdown of who Tom Bombadil is, you can listen to the song 12 Point Power Sword by Heath McNeese. Um, which is I don't, I think it still is. If it's not, it was the entrance music to the Pull List podcast forever. Um, it has like the chorus of "Better Put the Word Out, Nerd Out," like that song. Um, but there's a speech in the bridge of 12 Point Power Sword where Heath McNeese ruins a date that he's on by trying to tell the girl that he's on a date with about Tom Bombadil. And he gives a really good, concise description of Tom Bombadil in the song 12 Point Power Sword. So if you need to know who he is, look up that song by Heath McNeese and follow some of his other music and while you're at it. Um, yeah, Tom Bombadil is making his way Rings of Power season 2. We are getting our new live action He-Man. Now, again, because I'm a broken record, uh, I feel like Alan Rickson would make a good He-Man because he's big and beefy. But no. We are getting Nicholas Galitzine, who you may know from me throw some production stuff at you. Um, Purple Hearts, Red, White, and Royal Blue, Bottoms, Cinderella. Um, so you may not know him. Like, I don't think that there's a lot that I've actually seen him in personally. But he if you want to look up Nicholas Galitzine, he is going to be playing your new live action He-Man in the movie coming from Amazon. So, yep, that's coming. Mike Flanagan, who is the guy who has made Haunting of Hill House, Midnight Mass, The Haunting of Bly Manor. He just did one this past year. Um, The Fall of the House of Usher. He's a savant in terms of horror in that genre. Um, he has a Stephen King movie coming up that is going to be starring Karen Gillan. Um, that she said that she wept for days after watching the cut of it. But he is taking his next project is that he is going to direct a new Exorcist movie. Now we've just had like a bajillion Exorcist movies, and I personally don't always rock with Exorcist movies or anything like that because you're talking about a dude with a machete. That doesn't bother me as much. You're talking about the supernatural things I'm okay with. But when you're dealing with actual demon possession and stuff like that, I'm not a big fan of that genre just because, reality. Um, but Mike Flanagan has announced that he's going to do a new radical take with The Exorcist, and that's his big sales pitch. That's all he's telling us. And um, I don't know. I don't know that we need another Exorcist movie. Do I have faith that Mike Flanagan will deliver one? Yes. Um, in musicals you didn't know you needed, Attack on Titan, the musical, is heading to New York. Um, Dedicate your hearts because yes, it's coming. Attack on Titan, the musical, is going to be showing up to some New York stages. Now, I'm a Broadway person in terms of I like Broadway musicals. I don't like going to actual Broadway. Um, I like anime. I'm not against the idea. Where this seems to run aground for me personally is that all this says to me is Spider-Man Turn of the Dark. If you're aware, Sony spent money and time and effort uh a hot minute ago trying to put on a Spider-Man musical called Turn of the Dark. Um, some of the people in it have gone on to be legends and things, like the dude who played Marley in Spirited, who was one of the main characters in Hades Town, was going to be Green Goblin. And here's all I'm saying. If you struggle to make a Spider-Man musical work, and that's just one dude swinging around doing acrobatics, the logistical nightmare of having a dozen people swinging around on stage with swords just seems like a logistical nightmare. Would I watch it? Absolutely. But my brain says logic's bad idea. um the Minecraft series, there's a Minecraft series, animated series coming from Netflix, that is going to be popping out for those of you who needed it. I think this is going to be a not an attempt, but a striking while the iron's hot thing to go ahead and lay the groundwork for the upcoming Minecraft movie that will have Jack Black and Jason Momoa. So it's a good idea for it makes sense. Um, Giancarlo Esposito, who has been announcing for a minute that he will um yeah, Tristan says swords flying around bad. That just doesn't sound like it's going to end well for anybody. But Giancarlo Esposito has said for a while that Marvel has been knocking at his door, and he's had conversations with Marvel, et cetera, et cetera. He, in an interview this past week, said that when his character appears, a series is going to follow. So Giancarlo Esposito is saying that he will be in a series that will be a spinoff of his character that we see him in as Marvel and Marvel. It's also being touted or teased that we will meet Giancarlo Esposito's character in Captain America Brave New World. So I'm just saying we're getting Red Hulk, Harrison Ford, Giancarlo Esposito. It's looking pretty chunky for Captain America Brave New World. Now here's the deal. I was going to show up to Captain America Brave New World day one no matter what. So you don't have to sell me on much, but I get there's a lot of selling that has to take place for the rest of the world to jump on board. Um, by the time this episode rolls around, or by the time next week rolls around, Star Wars The Acolyte will drop. The high budget, early Jedi Republic-ish down to the Sith turn era of TV is going to start, I believe, June 4th. And the action is being praised as high martial arts action. It stars one of the folks from Squid Games, along with one of the folks from uh, Logan, and there's just it's a good studded cast. The action looks dark. It's hunting Jedis. Um, Here's the note I wanted to make about it. The budget for the whole series is $180 million, which boils down to 22.5 million per episode, which means they're going to end up spending as much money on this as they ended up spending on She-Hulk. Now, the thing is, She-Hulk ended up costing that much when it wasn't planned to be that much. They're actually planning for Acolyte to be this much. So maybe they'll have better expectations. Maybe it'll turn out more towards what they're hoping for. But either way, Star Wars The Acolyte has a really solid budget, and we should see some good quality stuff from what they produce here. Um, hopefully. In the terms of things being produced that aren't going to be good quality, uh, the Dune popcorn bucket was one of the biggest fiascos of modern pop culture, at least in the last couple of years. And the Wolverine and Deadpool bucket says, I see that and raise you. Um, the Wolverine and Deadpool bucket intentionally took the hubbub that came. Yeah, Deadpool did it better. They took the bucket awkwardness and made it a million times worse. Especially with the trailer for the bucket. So if you've not seen this, look it up. But you should also watch the trailer as it's Deadpool introducing the bucket. But the bucket is Wolverine's face with his giant mouth agape. And it's I'm just looking at it and it's a lot. So yeah, if you enjoy Deadpool humor, that's definitely gonna be there for you. Um, Tracking back to Knives Out 3 real quick, and Avengers, Jeremy Renner will be making an appearance in Knives Out 3, and which I am looking forward to just because I'm glad Jeremy Renner's alive, and I want to support anything he does because he's not dead, and that's important. Uh, Eminem has officially crossed 45 billion streams on Spotify. 45 billion. That's a lot. Um, The Chosen is finally going to be releasing next week on all streaming platforms. I think specifically Disney Plus is going to be its big home for a minute. But yeah, Chosen season 4 will be dropping, and you can see our friend Todd Turner's wife somewhere in there, I think, is an extra. And but yeah, Chosen season 4. Good morning, Joshua. Chosen season 4 will be dropping on streaming platforms next week, finally, after all the delineation and things that went along with it to get to this point, and we'll talk about that in a minute too. Um, and this is where Tristan scooped me on pointing things out. Batman Ninja is going to get a sequel where Bruce Wayne is taking on the Yakuza, and it's a sequel to the 2018 animated film which had very strong Ninja Scroll vibes. If you like hardcore ancient anime, Batman Ninja was fun, and the sequel is coming to that. I'm not surprised. It was a good effort, and it wasn't a bad production at all. So that is coming, the sequel to Batman Ninja. Uh, for a while, I had mentioned that you could stay in the Xavier Mansion from X-Men 97 as an Airbnb. Now, if you've got even more time and money, um, you can visit the Airbnb mansion of Edna Mode, the seamstress slash costume designer from The Incredibles. Now, you don't sleep there, but you visit. And when you visit, you go through the whole process. You're greeted by Edna's secretary. They take you through, and you get the tour. You do all the things, and then they literally set you down in front of the big display thing and design your superhero costume. Then, after you leave, a few weeks later, they actually mail you your superhero costume. So you don't get to stay the night, but you do actually get an Edna Mode designed superhero costume. That's a great idea. I don't know how much expendable income I've got for that. Um, but it's a great idea. It's a great experience. So if you're a big fan of The Incredibles, this could be something for you. Now, on that note, on The Incredibles, Pixar has announced that they are entertaining the idea of rebooting The Incredibles and Finding Nemo. I don't know that that needs to happen. Yeah. I doubt anybody gets a cake, Tristan. But no, I doubt, yeah. Um, I don't know that we need an Incredibles reboot. I know that everybody wasn't as pleased with the sequel, and I get that. And I believe that there is stuff that could be done with the Incredibles universe. I believe the Incredibles would make a good cartoon series or comic book. Um, I don't know that I need more Nemo adventures either, but entertainment's not always for me. So there's somebody out there that hears that and they think that's the best thing I've ever heard. So again, it's an option. Furiosa, which has gotten good reviews, did win the domestic weekend for the box office, but this was the worst Memorial Day weekend opening for films in 30 years. Memorial Day weekend is one of those weekends where you want to premiere big films. You want to, that and Christmas, 4th of July. Those are the big dates that you want to drop a movie that people are going to have an extra day off and you go watch the movies on repeat. This was the worst Memorial Day weekend opening in 30 years. Now, that probably has a lot to do with rising ticket prices. That probably has a lot to do with the fact that we're busy and everything else. But people just weren't going to the movies as much on this Memorial Day. A site and user called Engine Owning has officially been sued and won against by Activision, the makers of Call of Duty. Um, Activision sued owning what was it? Yeah, Engine Owning uh for making cheats for Call of Duty. Like different cheats, different hacks, different mods for Call of Duty. And they won the lawsuit. And they are required to pay 14 million plus in damages. Now the damages only come in at $200 for the infraction, but they have to pay a multiplication of it for every time it was downloaded. So they have to pay $200 for each individual cheat that was downloaded, which is putting them over $14 million. This gives me strong vibes of Napster and the Napster wars. It was $14,465,000 in statutory damages and $292,000 in attorney's fees. Yeesh. So that's totally a thing. Um, and speaking of Call of Duty, the anthem maker for Call of Duty Black Ops back when it first dropped, Eminem has dropped a new single today called Houdini. Um, which is will be part of what will be the Death of Slim Shady album that we'll presumably get. But the new song Houdini dropped, and I'll say that the video is better than the song just because it's a visual storytelling concept. Um, there's a line in the lyric Rap God. He's like, I'm emerging like from a portal from 2004. And that's literally what happens in the video. Um, a 2004 version of Eminem, blonde hair, no beard, white t-shirt, emerges from a portal to 2024. And Dr. Dre and Rap Boy are called back to the scene to battle the 2004 version of Eminem. So you get callbacks to Eminem dressed in the Robin costume from the Without Me music video, riding around with Dr. Dre. You get callbacks to the Real Slim Shady video of, and there's literally a moment where Eminem has a Scott Pilgrim battle against Eminem down to the very first charged shot with Patel and Scott Pilgrim. They recreate that shot with Eminem versus Eminem, and you get some Dragon Ball Z level outcomes. Now, I will say this, it's really weird watching a CGI beardless Eminem. People want to complain about Henry Cavill's mustache and the Whedon cut, um, the Justice League. Um, People want to complain about Superman CGI'd off mustache. Wait till you see a fully beardless CGI'd Eminem next to a real Eminem. It's fun. It's fun. But yeah, the Ukraine is a Ukrainian model that is suing the Cannes Film Festival lady for $100,000 because that lady physically pushed her and bear hugged her to the ground. So yeah, that's absolutely happening. The model's name is Sawa Pontiska. And she is the lady who is suing the Cannes Film Festival security guard. And ready? Here's all the disclaimers before I say any of this. Ready? Rocking with me? Don't get mad at me. Okay, everybody and your moms. I'm just saying some news words. This isn't a ugly debate or, you know, anything. Cool? We cool? All right. Copacetic. Um, Yesterday, former President Trump was found guilty on 34 felony charges of, um, yeah, the 34 felony counts of, um, I don't know what the actual word to call it was, but on his charge, he was found on 134 counts. Not, sorry, he was found on 34 counts. But if he gets the maximum sentence for those counts, it appears that he could face 136 years in prison if that happens. But his sentencing will take place on July 11th. So you can expect pretty uh a pretty socially charged 4th of July week leading up to this. Um it's going to get weird. Yes. Um Streamer Natalie Reynolds is under fire and facing legal and political trouble for having a woman who couldn't swim jump into a lake and then leaving as soon as she does. And because yeah, it happened in Austin, Texas. The streamer, convinced this lady to jump in a lake. She couldn't swim, and then once she was fully aware that she couldn't swim, rather than helping the woman, they ran away. And they ran away while doing it on camera. So there's a thing because people do dumb stuff. Um, Also, in weird things that you didn't expect to hear, there was a stabbing in the Times Square McDonald's with a machete. Three men uh, surrounded a man outside the Times Square McDonald's, and he was stabbed 3 times with a machete in the legs. Yep. He's expected to live, and the three assailants are in custody. But yeah, that's absolutely a thing. And this also happened in broad daylight. So this wasn't like a late night shenanigans or anything. Um, in a scary bit of news, an unidentified human was sucked into a jet engine in Amsterdam. Um, at the Schiphol airport. They don't know if it was a man, they don't know if it was a woman, they don't know who it was. They just know a person went into a jet engine um that walked in front of it. And uh yeah. In terms of in the world of things really not fighting fair, Kim Jong-un of North Korea is in the middle of a propaganda battle with South Korea. Um someone sent anti-propaganda flyers into North Korea, um, by leaflets, like scattering them across North Korea. And because it requires cleanup, they are sending balloons, big balloons, over South Korea that are carrying large containers of debris, waste, toilet paper, plastic bottles, and what is believed to be human waste. So they're sending balloons of horrible things on their neighbors in that capacity. Yep, that's happening because it's just stuff like, who does that's some middle school stuff and horrible. Um, while the statute of limitations had passed for the altercation with former girlfriend Cassie, uh, P Diddy, Sean Combs, is facing criminal charges in New York City from different accusers and exes that are within statutory or are within the appropriate time frame. So while the one lady is not able to pursue because of statute of limitations, other people are gathering together to make that happen. And Mike Tyson this week suffered a medical scare during a flight to Los Angeles. It is 2 months away from the Logan Paul fight, or not the Jake Paul fight. And people, instantly flock to that. But, um, you know, check on the man. But his people said he's expecting to make a full recovery and should be fine. But that's also still, pretty rough. Uh, do, 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 do. King security guard. Nicki Minaj was arrested in on her way to Amsterdam amidst the tour. Um because someone in her group had marijuana. And so she filmed and live streamed her own arrest and was released recently from jail because of that, but she got arrested on the way to her tour stop with that. She stands strongly that it wasn't hers, that it was someone that was just with her, etc. And news that makes me actually want to do like medical training. Um, in Transylvania, Romania, in the Trascululi Mountains, absolutely brutally murdered that sentence. Um, a hiker fell and was in great medical danger, and it was a 2-hour hike to get to where this hiker was in danger. So paramedics, uh, instead of making the 2-hour hike, got to the hiker in 2 minutes with a jetpack. A jetpack. There's literally footage. They filmed the whole thing of the paramedic actually putting on a jetpack, like the Iron Man level ones, like where you also have the hand pulsers, and flying up the side of the mountain to get to the man in time to provide medical attention. I'm sorry, if EMTs get to start wearing jetpacks, I'm going to reconsider my life options. Um, there's a paramedic school at the college I work at, so I'm on that. Um, Stranger Things and Damsel and young and Enola Holmes star Millie Bobby Brown uh appears to have secretly gotten married this past week to her fiance Jake Bon Jovi. Yes, that Bon Jovi. It is Bon Jovi's son. And Millie Bobby Brown has been engaged and had a very public romance with Jake Bon Jovi for a minute, and it appears they secretly got married over this past week. So yeah. Uh Millie Bobby Brown is 20 and Jake Bon Jovi is 22. So they're both young, happy, and enjoying their life together. So God bless them in that. Uh and I don't, again, I don't feel like I need to preface this with the same level of disclaimer as when I made the Trump announcement, but just say this: we desperately need to be praying, and and we need to be praying for everything that's going on between Israel and Palestine, what's going on in Rafah. I'd, you know, try and keep this as light as possible, but it's hard, y'all. We are not being great humans in what's going on. So let's please pray for, even if the people don't do something, that God would do something in these capacities. So, a couple things before I bounce. Let's see. Oh yeah, this guy. Um, it's the new shirt. It says God is a fan of you. Psalm 139:14, which is I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Gonna have this premiering at Heroes Con in a couple weeks, about 2 weeks from now. And I don't know if I will be doing the video next week. Um, just because I am leaving for uh I'm leaving for North Dakota to do the Sidekicks Superhero VBS um, on Monday morning, and I'll be getting back Saturday night. If I do it, it will definitely be lower quality in terms of camera and microphone, just because I'm not trying to fly with all this stuff. Um, so that, just be aware that might be something that is different. But I'm pretty sure y'all will live without me for a week. Not that I desperately, but I was like, no, my week, it's ruined. Hector's not going to talk about the news. What am I going to do? But I enjoy this little time with y'all, and it's a nice little consistent point in my week too. So just letting you know, I don't know if I will make it to do this in that time, because I will be in transit and travel. Uh, Actually, about this time, I'll be leading a session on Friday morning before rolling back uh Saturday night. Um, your your Friday will not be the same. I'm sorry, Alicia. I'll see what I can do. I might even be able to get Zach, who's going to be with me on it. Is it 20? No, it is not. Um, so yeah, I might even try and get Zach on. Zach might have a setup. Who knows? I just know I don't want to fly with this camera and this microphone. Because I want to travel as light as possible. Because it's hard out there for a girthy man to travel in an airport anyway. So, I'm trying to make my journey as easy as possible. All right, have the appropriate dice real quick. But yeah, also on some notes, I did just get confirmation that I am going to be going to Pennsylvania at the end of August. Uh, and I'm gonna butcher this con's name, so forgive me in advance. Not Tsukashi Con, um, uh, which is an anime con in Pennsylvania, and they reached out to me and are guesting me to have a free booth because they want me to come do Geek Church. So that's pretty cool. Um, so that's happening. Yeah. All right, let's see what we're reading today before we dip out of here. And also, let me just take a moment and thank our Patreon supporters for being awesome and doing all the things that you do. Uh, uh, Jacob Gibson, David Brooks, Jeff Weimer, Colin Sproles, Jamie Montgomery, Matthew Cole, or the Coleman family, Jonathan Herman, Ron Petit, Gear Saber Cosplay, Scott Ward, Alicia Glenn, whose day I'm ruining a week in advance, Candace Davis, Jay Sheed, Jason Crutchfield, Mike Perna, Todd Turner, who I'm going to see in 2 weeks at Heroes Con, John Jacobs, Zach Harris, who's going to pick me up from the airport in North Dakota, Caleb Grimm, Jeanette Skaggs, Jason Bullock, Christina Ray, Sarah Lewis, Patrick Gale, Rebecca Godlove, and Adam Davis. who hopefully I'm going to see at Heroes Con too. Um, just thank y'all for being amazing and being so cool. All right, let's see what we're reading today. That's a 12. 3, it's 15. 15 and 14 is 29. And 2 is 31. Uh minus 3 is 28. So 28 book of the Bible. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 26. Shut up. Did I get Hosea again? I got Hosea again. I think I got Hosea last week. 1016. That's really random to roll 2 weeks in a row and get the same book. And Hosea has 11, 12, 13, 14 chapters. So we'll do a 20 and see if we get that. Hey, John, thank you, bro. 6. All right, so Hosea chapter 6. What? Let's go. I love Hosea chapter 6. Yes. Need to grab a highlighter in this piece. That's not a highlighter. Oh, it'll work as a highlighter. I don't care. Um, I love Hosea 6. It's actually one of my favorite passages. Um See, it's me getting pumped about scripture. Yay, Jesus. All right. Hosea chapter 6, verse 1 says, Come, let us return to the Lord. He has torn us to pieces, but he will heal us. He has injured us, but he will bind up our wounds. Draw a band-aid. After 2 days, he will revive us, and on the third day, he will restore us that we may live in his presence. Look, there's biblical foreshadowing of the resurrection of Christ in the book of Hosea. Um, uh, let us acknowledge the Lord. Let us press on to acknowledge him. As surely as the sun rises, he will appear. He will come to us like winter's rain, like spring rains that water the earth. Verse 4 says, What can I do without you, Ephraim? What can I, or verse 4 says, What can I do with you, Ephraim? What can I do with you, Judah? Your love is like the morning mist, like the early dew that disappears. Ooh, it's a burn. Like your love shows up and then instantly disappears and doesn't do much. Um, Yeesh. Therefore, I cut you to pieces with my prophets. I killed you with the words of my mouth. Uh, then my judgments will go forth like the sun. And this is why I like this passage so much. Verse 6 is a passage that Jesus goes on to quote later in the New Testament. He says, For I desire mercy, not sacrifice, acknowledgement of God rather than burnt offerings. And I love that phrase. I desire mercy, not sacrifice. Um, and I think that translates to everything we do. That yeah, I get that. John, I had that thought, but I wasn't gonna try. I was trying not to look at you on camera and say, bro, this is like your week. It says, I desire mercy, not sacrifice. And my favorite thing about this is that when Jesus quotes it later, uh, he doesn't just bring it up. He says, go and learn what this means. I desire mercy, not sacrifice. When Jesus says it, he's like, I'm tired of y'all not understanding this. Go and learn what it means. And I think we could all do well with going and learning what this means, that he desires mercy, not sacrifice. Verse 7 says, As Adam, they have broken the covenant. They were unfaithful to me there. Gilead is a city of evildoers, stained with the footprints of blood. As marauders lie in ambush for a victim, so do bands of priests. They murder on the road of Shechem. carrying out their wicked schemes. I have seen a horrible thing in Israel. Their Ephraim is given to prostitution. Israel is defiled. Also for you, Judah, a harvest is appointed. And then whenever I would restore the fortunes of my people. And there's a lot that, isn't necessarily applicable, to where we are, but man, that one phrase, I'm a big circle it, y'all. For I desire mercy, not sacrifice, acknowledgement of God rather than burnt offerings. Um, God would much rather us take the time to acknowledge him. And I think acknowledgement comes with surrender and acknowledgement comes with obedience. God would much rather us take the time to acknowledge him rather than give him stuff. Um, his love language is quality time and obedience, not gifts. He doesn't need us to give stuff. He needs us to actually live the way he calls us to. But I desire mercy, not sacrifice. So the next time you feel the urge to be super judgmental or judgy or condemning, realize God wants mercy, not sacrifice. And I think we could all benefit and grow from that. Thank y'all for taking the time to hang out with me this morning. And I hope y'all have a great day. And doesn't matter what's in the news, God is the one making us new. Pew, pew. Catchphrase. I hope y'all have a great day.